Just
no
don't tell my
problem.
wife. My wife doesn't know I'm here, so use a different name for me.
I'm not displaying names. It only records the simulator.
Oh, damn. All right.
No,
sorry, whoever's in front of me, I'm going through you.
Just as a bit of an insurance policy, I'm not going to stream it live, because then I don't have to deal with if somebody were to arrive in the channel mid-flight, I can just edit it if anything were to happen.
You could probably also only record the simulator without our voices, but are you using OBS?
Yeah, I can, but
Would it be boring?
yeah, I think the fun for anybody that's not done a group flight before is obviously to hear the conversations and to see that it's a group of people.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, that's painful. Ouch.
Oh hell, the sim just crashed.
Yeah, I've just watched your aircraft nose dive.
The sim crashes, your airplane crashes.
No idea why.
Yeah, I can see you in the field just above you at the moment, Alex.
Jonathan and I have a good theory that it's because they're working on the servers for the update, it's crashing it, so it's not really your computer that's doing it.
That's what I think. It happened at the last big update, that the days beforehand it became very unstable.
Right.
Yeah, just up until an hour ago, there was no network connection on it whatsoever. You couldn't get, it was doing all the default ATCs and voices and everything, and it finally just came back.
Alice, did you say there was a flight plan published?
I put two in there. One for the little nav map and one for the simulator.
Yeah, Roger, where did you put them?
It's in the invitations channel.
In the invitation
Right,
channel.
okay. Thank you.
Well, we have to wait for our tour guide.
I'll use the Y8 buttons to catch up, guys.
Should we start out down the river then?
You go, I'll catch up.
Yeah, it's off to the east, isn't it? The river?
Yep.
Up to the east and then travel south, basically.
Yeah, I can see the river.
It goes
behind
all
us.
over the place.
Nice and flat. I'm gonna go really low.
In fact, I'm going to wind the time back so I can see everybody's lights nicely.
Great, Alex, thank you.
You're looking for all the hydro dams, guys. You've got to count them.
Like a scavenger hunt, alright.
And they all appear before we get to the lake.
It's really neat looking in the simulator. It's really detailed.
Yeah, the area we fly over to start with is the dairy bowl of New Zealand, really. It's where most of the dairy farming's done. Oh, there's still people on the ground here at the airport, so
Sleeping, it's their nap time.
I can't go as slow as you in that helicopter, Jim.
The water.
I'm speeding up, don't worry.
Water on this river is doing some serious banking. Defying physics here.
So what sort of cruise speed does the 135 have then?
Oh, I can get up to 150 quite nicely.
Oh, okay. Oh, so if we stick to 140, somewhere between 140 and 150 then?
Yeah, 140 actually puts me on the yellow, but I push it.
Oh, okay, I'll stick to 140 then.
Yeah, Jim, does your helicopter get the shakes once you get over about 80 knots?
No.
Alright.
Is that to do with the stabilisation system maybe for hover that you have to switch off maybe?
I'm not sure. I've never had a good look at it really. But I enjoyed flying at the slow speeds, so pylons. Dear me.
Righto, I'm back with you guys. I've caught up, I think.
What today?
The town we're flying over at the moment is called Cambridge. Cambridge. One of the horse racing centres of New Zealand. There's a lot of, what do they call them, thoroughbred studs around here. Oh, that's good. It's behaving now.
That's famous last words, that is.
Never a trivial word spoken.
I don't know whether you guys saw my post in the hardware, but I've got my new head tracker and it's amazing.
All right.
It's everything he said it was.
Brilliant.
Does that mean you're going to develop all kinds of nervous tics now when you're walking around the house?
Yep. He'll tilt his head before he turns.
So
Is
that's
this your first one?
That's what you do on a motorbike.
So what was the name of it again, Ellis?
The Grass Monkey.
Grass Monkey.
Stimulations.
Okay.
And he's got a new one out. It's called a Monkey Kit. And it's a sensor where he's done a lot of development on it, and it's a lot faster and a lot higher FPS, and it's extremely smooth. It's quite amazing. And you know, I considered VR, but I want to be able to put my hands on the bits and pieces, push my buttons and what have you. I thought I'd try this first as a compromise. Quite happy with it.
Don, look down where you are now. You should be passing over some pylons in the river. Did you see it? You might have just passed it.
There should be quite a few of them because, as I say, there's a lot of power stations on this river.
Well, so it's normal for there to be pylons in the middle of the river.
I wouldn't know. This lake that we're flying down at the moment, this long, thin lake, is known as Lake Karapiro, and it's one of the two main rowing venues in New Zealand. It's where our rowers do all their training.
Well, I think I've counted 4 hydros so far.
No cheating and looking at Google, by the way, guys.
Oh, hydras. I thought you said hydras, so I'm like looking for these sea creatures. I don't see any sea creatures.
For hydro dams, power stations.
Trees also. I almost hit a tree. I'm not paying attention. Like, they look like bridges in the sim.
Yeah, they do actually. Well, I've got the New Zealand mesh, so they might show up a bit better, but no, they're quite identifiable.
They're not. You can see the gaps under bridges. You can't see the block. They're like blocks on the sim for me. And there's one big one we've passed that's definitely a dam.
And you can see in mine, I can actually see the spillways and all that sort of thing as well.
Need to get, yeah. Who makes the New Zealand download pack?
I think that's Orbix, isn't it?
Yeah, Orbix.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, they do really good stuff. A little pricey, but good.
I didn't think it was that bad, price-wise.
Well, if you keep doing these tours, I might have to buy it.
To be honest, I'm always stunned at what we get out of the box with Flight Sim. I just think it's amazing.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really
probably
seen the need to buy scenery.
This wasn't even touched by people. It's just auto-generated with satellites. It was amazing.
It is amazing, really. There are some add-ons for New Zealand that do make a big difference. There's one for Mount Cook in the Southern Alps, and that is spectacular and makes a huge difference.
Jonathan, I got my A320 quadrant back from the shop
Oh, cool.
yesterday. Works like a dream now.
Oh, brilliant.
What were you using before that?
Well, I had it and it went wrong, and I had to send it back to the manufacturer.
Yeah. Did you have a temporary one?
No.
Oh, okay. It's flying with your mouse.
Oh no, sorry. I mean, I've got my old Thrustmaster which I was using, but it really wasn't very good for the A320. So I haven't really flown it very much until I got the kit back.
What was the turnaround for you on that?
A week.
Not bad at all.
Not bad.
Shipping and everything.
Yeah, they went because it had to go to France.
So do you think you've got the same one back, or is it a brand new one?
No, I got the same one back, definitely.
Right.
Because I marked it.
Yeah. Pretty hard to come.
So I wonder what went wrong. It's probably a potentiometer or something, wasn't it? Or actually, no. It sounded.
They didn't tell me. They just said it's fixed.
Yeah, I bet there's a small circuit board, and they just threw it away and put a different one in.
Nah, they changed the gerbils.
Brilliant. I like that. Right.
Oh, I need to go put myself on the transmitter. I keep forgetting.
Not in here, but by any chance here?
No, not tonight. I'm in a nice TBM 9300 or 930.
Did you see that Carinado have made a new aeroplane? It's been given to Microsoft. It's not in the store yet, though.
Yeah, I seen your post.
What is it?
Pilatus, is it PC12 or something?
Oh, the PC12.
Looks like a TBM, yeah. Similar class of aeroplane.
Is that the Pilatus PC-12?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem is the people who made the Kodiak are working on their own PC-12, and that was supposed to be out around about now as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wait for that one.
Exactly.
Well, but they've gone silent on it though. That's the problem.
Oh.
Maybe they sold it to Coronado.
Yeah.
Ellis, are you running transmitter?
Does anybody know if anybody's doing anything with the Q300, Q400 de Havilland, series? The regional turboprop, I would have thought that would have been a pretty popular one, but nobody seems to have done anything with it.
I know there's a Dash 7 coming.
Check msfsaddons.com because they keep a running list of everything they know of that's in development.
Oh, that's really useful. Is it SimWorks Studios, the same people behind the Kodiak, that are doing the Dash 7?
Yes. Yep.
Is that the 4-engine one?
Yeah. There was a promo shot came out a few days ago with a bright red livery.
Right, that. Yeah, that's it. I saw that.
I think it was it Swiss? I think the livery, or Danish, something I can't remember now.
But Dash 4 would have 2 engines.
I don't know. So I think the Dash 8 is just a longer version of the Dash 7, isn't it?
It's only a 2-engine thing, the Dash 8s.
2 engines, okay.
Oh, okay. So the numbering makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't, John.
Like Boeing.
Yeah. Because I've never understood, there's a Q400 as well, isn't there, that is one of the Dash series. When I was commuting to and from Germany with work a few years back, invariably we were put on Airbus A321s, which are the extended version of the A320. And the Lufthansa A321s always had a couple of seats at the back that were taped off, and I went and looked up why. So they made the plane longer, and they didn't get the numbers right on the balance point of the aircraft. So many of the carriers taped off the last 2 rows of seats because if you put people in them, there was a risk that the plane could tip up on the parking at the gate.
Hey, Jonathan, New Zealand's got some of those, and I'm going to bloody Brisbane on one in a couple of weeks.
It'll be interesting then to see if they've taped off. I think it was only on certain seat configurations, where the carrier had crammed a few extra rows in.
Well, if I don't turn up in a couple of weeks after I've been and come home, you'll know what happened.
Choose your seat carefully.
That's not reassuring. You got your basic flight model all designed out and everything like that, and then the carriers mess it up.
Yeah, they go and put a few extra rows in.
For more money.
That's a very cynical view.
You can see how it can happen though, can't you? Because if you had business class where they're a little bit more spaced out, but then you make up for that by cramming an extra row in at the back, it's enough to tip the plane if the baggage hasn't been done, to counter it.
This water is climbing the mountain here.
It's not a pretty sight when they tip the plane. there was a turboprop that happened to the place I was at, and it took everybody off all the luggage, and then they started loading everything, all the luggage, and I think it was bottles of water and all that in the back, and it ended up on the tail.
I mean, you can see how it can happen, can't you? Because if you're being pushed back and then you put the brakes on or whatever, it could easily tip it.
Yeah, that can do it too. But just sitting there, it can do it. So a lot of the old, like I remember DC6s that were used for freight, they had an attachment at the back and a jack stand, and it was made for that. You know, you put a pin through this kind of blob that hung down below the plane, and this long stick basically was hanging a few inches off the ground, just in case it did tip. So it wouldn't go all the way, you know, it wouldn't cause any damage. It just, that would hold it up.
Isaac Newton was wrong. I've just blown over parts of the river, and he was wrong.
So, do most airlines have scales on their landing gear so they can tell how much overweight they are or off balance?
That's a good
before
question.
taking off?
I guess that's the loadmaster, isn't it, that has to figure that out?
Yeah, there's no option to like the 737 to see that on the MFD or anything.
'Cause I know if you get on like a small turboprop, they will arrange the passengers to suit the wing route, won't they?
Yeah.
But I don't think they have the readout from the individual wheels, you know, the non features. I don't think that happens.
Basic math. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they do weight and balance. Now there's some of the, I think the large military ones do have that, like the C-5A Galaxy, I think.
Yeah, they could definitely put it in the struts, you know, to figure it out. But
yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, makes good sense.
it's like, okay, we need to remove a couple people, we're too heavy. And that was like a 737 or whatever, mid-range.
It's going to be very insulting when they tell the people, isn't it?
Yeah. Americans are huge.
Right.
What the latest weighing nation is in the world, you know? And I wonder if they change the seat configuration in those places.
Yeah.
Yeah, the American versions have big holders for like a bucket of KFC chicken.
Yeah.
But you won't find that overseas.
A big golf cup that's, huge.
Or, as our friend calls it, dead bird in a bucket.
Yeah.
Put it in a bucket.
Yeah, the cup holders fit a 32 ounce instead of, a standard 8 ounce glass. There's a special Karen section in the back. It's kind of a noise reduced area for the people that like to complain and whine about everything.
With handcuffs?
Yes. Yep.
I think you should send that off to Boeing and
Good idea.
I'll say, come on, guys, we need a Karen section, you know.
They also reduce the air pressure a little bit back there just to kind of make them sleep.
Yeah, make them drowsy.
Do it, you know.
Some trivia, guys. These dark areas we're flying over are Pinus radiata plantations.
Watch your mouth.
We might be a small country, but I understand or believe that the largest man-made forest in the world was created here in New Zealand during the Depression and the Second World War. They rounded up everybody that had nothing to do and brought them down here and made them plant pine trees.
That's amazing.
We ought to do that in this country.
Amazing. Yeah, and the thing about these pine trees is I think they got them from Northern California. They brought them down here, but they discovered that they could grow a tree to maturity in 20 years. So they're forever cutting them down and replanting them. It's amazing. And forestry is one of our biggest exports now.
I was going to say,
it all goes to China.
There's a guy that lives across the road from New Zealand. He's retired now, but he was a forester in New Zealand. So he may well, for all I know, he worked on this part of the country. I don't know.
Hi all, sorry I'm late. Catching you up now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody tell their jokes over again. We got to start all the jokes over.
Is that Peter? I'm coming from behind too. Just trying to catch up.
So, 125 degrees across this scrubland then to get to the airfield.
Green Delta 11 just signed in to our group, and he's going to catch up with us at the halfway point.
Cool.
Probably not. I'm somewhat at lost.
Oh, okay. So I flew with Green and Elite Dangerous quite a bit for several years, and he's a real pilot. Flew helicopters in Vietnam and many other aircraft, so he's my little mentor.
You're just saying that because I'm only 5'7".
Yes.
Ideal height for flying helicopters.
Say again?
Ideal height for flying helicopters.
Yeah.
You know, you can usually get quite torpedoed in helicopters. In fact, that's one of the things if you go through pilot selection and you're over, I think it's about, well, it used to be about 5'8". You're then flying transports or helicopters.
So, actually, when I went into the Army back in 1970, I only weighed, I was pretty small, and the minimum weight was 112 pounds. So the flight surgeon let me hold my billfold to get me up over the 112 when I went in. And so I always had a problem being too small for the cockpits, and most of the time in the Bell helicopters I'd have to carry a 25-pound bag of lead shot with me, so I'd make the minimum cockpit weight.
Hey, Green, if you want to load up at NZAP, we're going to be there pretty soon.
Okay, NZAP, okay, I'll give that a shot, thanks.
And make sure you're on Southeast Asia server.
I'll try to figure out how to do that. I made it successfully to New Zealand. I got a little error message that said I had to be there, so I'm making an assumption I'm on the Southeast Asian server.
Yep.
Under your, when you're in the main menu, upper right-hand corner, your little Microsoft icon, you click that, it brings up a profile menu, and you'll see your server connections. That's the only place I believe you can connect to.
Okay, from the main menu. Got it. All right, I'll reload. November Zoo Alpha Papa NZAP. Copy.
And don't forget to run transmitter as well.
I'm on transmitter at this time, and
Cool.
I left my call sign out, so I'm Art, actually.
You don't have to be at the main menu, by the way. You can just hit escape, even after the flight's loaded or while you're flying, whatever. You can hit escape, and you can change your server at any time.
Didn't know that.
Thank you, so I'll do that.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
I just did the classic. I've been flying studiously 125 degrees, but I didn't calibrate the gyro compass before I started. So I wasn't flying 125 degrees.
Okay, I am on the Southeast Asia server now.
Perfect. I still don't see you on. So we're using a little application called Little Nav Map. We'll get you situated on that after this map, but as long as you can see us in game and follow us, you'll be okay.
Yeah, he'd need the navigator to show up on the little nav map.
Well, we'll always give him a vector or two.
We'll see him. He won't be able to see us on it. Yeah.
I'm about 15 miles out, so I should be there soon.
Oh, look, John's cheating.
Oh, are we supposed to follow the river all the way through to Lake Owakuri?
You've got to count the hydros.
Okay.
And you're heading for Taupo, and the big lake there is Lake Taupo, and the airfield is sort of just south of the main township.
Yep.
You're supposed to be following the river, Jonathan, by the way. So
You got told off.
You got to start all over again.
I don't think he's counting the hydro dams.
I'm not.
No, he's not going to get the sticker.
He's not respecting this at all, is he?
No, I'm not going to get the sticker.
No.
It's like
Little
this with
sticker
all
on your
ATC.
hand.
He's like this with all ATC.
When we do the big jet flights, I behave myself and make all the calls properly.
Yeah, I went to a USA public school, so I've run out of fingers to count the dams with.
Yeah, I lost count a little while back. I got kind of excited doing. I don't know what I was doing.
Oh, well.
That's a bunch.
Just thinking that would be fun to do, though, wouldn't it? To make a card up where people have to tick things off.
I'll let you all off the hook. There's actually 8 hydro dams.
That's what I've got.
Good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I got 8 too.
You can go to the top of the class.
Right here as well.
Well, I don't know where you are, but I think we're not at Taupo yet, and there's still a couple to come, so I don't know what you were counting.
Oh,
probably
the
the
couple
hydros.
right at the beginning might have been bridges.
Yeah, I might have been counting hydros.
So Green Delta, I see you
I'm just
on
going over
the
another one now.
map.
Okay. I'm at the north end of the airfield on the taxiway right now.
We're about 10 minutes we'll be
Sit
there.
there and
maybe
watch
less.
us all arrive.
Yeah, you're going to see us all arrive at once, and you're going to be flustered with 20 people landing at once.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, can you do
In a
the
very
ATC,
professional
please?
manner.
Can
Yeah,
you
be
do
the
the
ATC.
ATC, please?
What, you want me to clear you to land, check gear down, that sort of thing?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Everybody check gear down, you're all cleared to land. Be careful.
No counting the bounces.
Gear down. Oh, gear down.
Then speaks a veteran of Vietnam.
Skids down and welded.
welded skids, yeah. Hey, Green, there's a flight of 20 landing.
Y'all be careful.
Yeah, it's when the controller keeps calling everybody number 1. You're number 1 to land. Oh, you're number 1 to land as well.
That needs to be said in a what's the actor called? Oh, I'm not gonna be able to think of his name now. It'll come back to me.
On little nav map, there's this lovely little chain of people flying all very neatly in a row, like a necklace.
Al Pacino, that's who I was thinking of, to repeatedly call out, "You're number 1 to land. You're number 1 to land."
So I have an odd thing happening in the little nav map. It's showing the other airplanes as red, but all pointing north. I don't understand that. And stationary, they're not moving now. So they were all there, and then they just stopped.
Did you flicker screen?
You may have picked the wrong format in the settings.
Oh.
You know where it says IVAO or VATSIM?
Yeah, I thought it's like that. So what are you all on?
It's like if you say IVAO, they'll all correct themselves.
Oh, nice. Okay. I just got to get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in options or online flying, isn't it? In little nav map.
Yeah.
Okay, I see if I find it.
You can also try tapping your monitor. Sometimes that works.
No, if I'm right about that, it's because many years ago, that file format that transmitter puts the data out in is called WhatsApp file format, and IVAO and VATSIM used to be one in the same group of developers, and they had a huge falling out at some point in the distant past, and they made both of their systems subtly incompatible with each other.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Sean. The trick. It's actually working well now. Yeah, cool.
Oh, that fixed it. Cool.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's working now. Bye.
Just touch and go, isn't it, here?
Yeah, Jonathan, yeah.
Cool.
We'll stop where we're in what we call the desert area, and there's nothing there, so I don't know where you're going to get your coffee.
You're the one that's always asking where the coffee bar is, and you're going to dump us down where there isn't any?
Yeah, that's about right. It just happens to be about halfway. I don't know what happened there. I went astray and I thought I'd better come back and join the pack.
Curious, Jonathan, do you see green on the runway at all? Since you're there?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Oh, I think I do.
He's real.
Oh, hang
Will
on a
I
second.
not be able to see anybody?
Hang
You
on.
should.
I thought I'm not sure you're on Southeast Asia.
It said I was.
Yeah, multiplayer turned on.
Probably not.
Oh, there's a problem.
Okay, so
That you can only do
Main
from
menu.
Yeah, the main menu when you set up the flight.
okay, I'm going to go back to the main menu and do that.
Yeah, it's a special setting that we all do. You don't do live weather.
Okay, no live weather multiplayer. I'll
Yeah.
go fix that.
It says all players, doesn't it? Otherwise, you don't see anybody else.
Yeah, use all players.
I'll fly circuits because I'm first in.
River's got a large bend. It's going to slow us down.
Takes us on a wild goose chase round here before it finally gets to the lake.
It's kind of exhausting following a river. Looks like there's an error in the flight sim too. There's like a 200-foot tall building on the right.
So where
Yeah,
do I
no.
set my multiplayer again?
In the flight conditions,
Oh, okay, flight conditions. Whoops.
so the top row, I think, is it where you can say all players.
Got it.
I've got I've got live weather, and the live weather's really lovely, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can do live weather when you're when you do all players. You just don't choose live weather because you can also select it in game or turn it off if needed.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
we're
think
getting a good patch over the next few days. There's a bit of a high pressure area moving in from the Tasman, so yeah, live weather might be okay.
What's the temps right now?
Temperatures are pretty low around this area. It'd be down. They have sub-zero temperatures early in the morning, and as we start to get up in altitude. I'd probably 8 to 12 degrees around here at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
That's centigrade for you guys in the US.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna get your spring pretty soon, aren't you?
Coming up. In fact, things are starting to change already. Notice that the days are getting longer, and you know, so that's bad news for our friends in the UK. Means theirs are getting shorter.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Degrees.
It's been far too hot this summer.
Yeah.
Dark nights, more flying.
I love the hot weather. I spent a couple of years of my life in the tropics, and yeah, You acclimatise to it if you stay there long enough.
Okay, I'm back at the north end of the airfield, multiplayer, New Zealand, Southeast Asia server. I don't see nobody.
It might take a second for it to load people in.
Yeah.
Oh, there's someone.
Yeah,
Hey, there you go.
I'm just coming in.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll be there in 5 minutes.
Have you got nameplates or?
Yeah, I can see him on the edge of the runway.
Yeah, I think by default those are on.
Yeah, they should be, but if you've got the UI add-on, you can switch them on and off.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good with the red letters. Yep.
Keep the beers warm and the women cold for us. Wait.
Oh,
What?
Is that right? That doesn't feel right.
New Zealand, everything's upside down.
Yeah, that's
That's
what I'm
right.
thinking, right?
Yeah.
Toilets go the wrong way.
Dr. Newton was wrong.
So it's like everybody doing a touch and go and then joining up and going someplace else.
Yep.
Yeah, you can follow us. We're gonna go southwest from that airport.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to depart then.
And if you're a little bit behind us, you can just follow us. And then later on, if you want to join us again, I'll set you up with that little nav map and everything.
Okay.
This is a touch and go, so we're not stopping to pause here.
Yeah, no
Touch and
pumping.
go, and then set your cruise altitude to about 6,500. Otherwise, you're going to run into a lump of dirt.
All right.
You only need to do a gradual climb as you fly across the lake, and it's an interesting part of the country, actually. This lake that we're approaching here is the largest lake in New Zealand, but it's actually a volcano, and we understand that the Chinese actually have a record of knowing when it blew, many centuries ago, of course, but it blew a big hole in the middle of the North Island, which is now Lake Taupo.
Do you know what time that, or what date that was?
Oh, about 500 AD, I believe, 600 AD.
Oh wow.
And it's considered dormant, right? It's not considered active.
Well, the water doesn't boil, no, but
Well, I'm off the ground heading southwest, climbing to 6,500.
you're well
Yeah,
ahead of
you're-
the rest of us.
Yeah, you're way ahead of us. So you want to do some circuits.
I'll come back.
Yeah, I'm just orbiting the airfield.
And as we fly over the plateau, because Mount Ruapehu might just give you a little tickle up, because it's active and spews every now and then.
So it's my mother-in-law. I got you.
It's pretty quiet at the moment, though. It's behaving itself lately.
So it's not my mother-in-law. Okay, gotcha.
But if you want a hot dip in a plunge pool, well, there's a little lake in the crater at the top they monitor the water temperature, and that's how they tell when it's going to be a naughty boy or a naughty girl.
Interesting. I appear to have broken the flaps in this Globe Swift.
It was only a matter of time.
So I'm having to make fast touch and goes.
I wanted to bring my Sonic's jet, but it wasn't in the selection list for some reason.
No, they don't have them yet. Oh, they do have her. They have the jet for Flight Sim.
Yeah. I got it, but I couldn't see it to load it up today. Nothing's going right.
That's normal for this group. Always problems.
Man, this is kind of cool watching everybody line up on final and do a touch and go.
I'd like to see like somebody that's not part of the group. All of a sudden, they just see 20 aircraft come in and they have no idea what's happening. We've got members from that. They were like, I saw this big group coming and tried to figure out who that was, and then they joined us.
There was a flight we did. It was down in the south of New Zealand, wasn't it? And there must have been about 40 or 50 of us on the group flight. So God knows what anybody thought when they saw us approaching.
Well, we know what they thought, we just can't say it.
I don't know what's going on with this thing, but it's not.
You cut out there, Ellis.
It's fun. Yeah, it's not very stable. It just dumped me on the ground again and then hoiked me back into the air. And
Sure there isn't a BFG here or something?
we're all right now. I can see the runway, so.
Yeah, I'm right behind Huey.
I need to catch up. You're all in front of me. The township underneath us is the township of Taupo. It's one of the growth areas. What's happening here in New Zealand, people in the older age group are moving away from the city centres, and all these little regional towns, popular ones, are blossoming.
You should see me now. I'm kind of behind you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not jumping out of the cockpit to look at you.
Twist your head.
That's hard to do at my age. Oh, there you are.
Now you're stuck. So you said now we have to go 6,000 feet?
I recommend it. Turn on the elevation window in little nav map, you'll see why.
Okay.
Wait.
Actually, if you go slightly to the west of the course, it's probably not as big an altitude gain, is it?
Yeah, but you missed the good sights, Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
Some of us respect the flight plan, Jonathan.
Actually,
Some of us respect all the hard work that went into it and wouldn't want to offend anybody.
Oh, it wasn't that hard. But if you have a little nav map, it's great for doing it. If you look straight ahead of you, you can see why we've got to go to 6,500.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit murky up here.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd suggest you go to clear skies for this bit.
I would hang on, because as you get further away from an airfield, the METAR changes usually. That's one of the things they're trying to update with the new version of the sim, isn't it? To make it smoother.
Yeah.
Once we've gone past the mountain, down to the sort of southeast from the peak, you'll find a place called Wairu, which is where we're going to stop. It's a strip that's adjacent to one of our Army's training centres, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of what they call the desert road. Because what happened when Taupo blew, it dumped all the pumice out to the southeast here, and the land is basically useless. The only thing it was any good for was growing pine trees.
We have a 24 knot crosswind all of a sudden.
That's quite cross, isn't it?
It's furious.
Tell you what, I'm hand flying at the moment, because if I put my autopilot on, the bloody thing wants to go all over the place, and I'm just don't know what's going on. It's just not very stable at all. Now, basically in this group here, we have 3 volcanoes coming up: Tongariro, Narahoe and Ruapehu. And as you get adjacent to the mountains, if you look due west, way out on the horizon, you'll see a very conical volcano that is very, very similar to Mount Fuji in Japan.
Did you say comical or conical?
Conical. Not comical, conical. The legend is that it used to live over here with these other volcanoes, and our Maori fellas here in New Zealand tell us that this group had a big spat, and they kicked the other guy out and sent him a few hundred miles west to isolate on his own. So that's why Mount Egmont's out there, or Mount Taranaki, whatever you want to call it. So that's the legend, apparently. Believe it, or you can choose to believe it or not.
I think it was comical, and the other 2 didn't get the jokes.
No, they didn't. That's why they kicked them out.
Can anybody remember where the tooltip setting is for the cockpit? It's in general, isn't it? I think it's accessibility.
Accessibility.
We always go to you for these questions.
Instrument name tooltips, there we go.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Apply, go back. I'm just having a look round. I just realised why the flaps aren't working. I've actually lost electrical power to some of the systems.
Voltages again.
You'll just have to start paying your bill.
I'm just wondering, yeah, 0 amperes is being generated, but I can't find a generator switch. Which is why I've turned on the tooltips to see if there's something obvious that I'm missing.
Is there not a keyboard shortcut for it?
Well, this is what I'm wondering.
Just a little heads up, guys. Coming into Waiouru from the top of the mountain, you're going to need a pretty steep descent. You need to get some altitude up in a hurry.
Yeah, it's nearly 2,700 feet.
I think when I get to the next airfield, I will change aeroplanes because I think I've broken this one.
You got to return it.
Does that cost much, Jonathan?
What, to buy a new Globe Swift?
$4,000.
You broke it. You bought it.
Yeah.
Have you got any key bindings, Jonathan?
No, I'm not sure if it's a bug or if it's something I've done. That's the trouble.
It's just, I've noticed on the Bravo sometimes you get a bit of cross-contamination on the key binds on the switches.
Jonathan, am I off your left wingtip?
Yes. Hang on. I'm just waggling now, so...
I'm echelon left behind a guy in a gray low-wing monoplane.
That's probably not the real one. There, yeah, you get default aircraft if somebody has something like aftermarket.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Oh, this is very pretty.
You are behind N191ME.
Pleased to meet you.
Whoever that is. Yeah, I'm going to go to dev mode. I've just realised the undercarriage isn't working either. Obviously, because I've lost electrical.
You're following me, Art.
Waggle your wing.
Yep, you're at my wing.
Really?
So let's go for developer mode. Turn it on. Apply. Go back. Resume. And now I can change airplanes.
So, Steve, what kind of aircraft are you in?
The Skyline. It's a push-pull configuration airplane.
That doesn't look like what I'm following.
Nope, not at all, because you don't have it installed, so it's going to pick a random default aircraft.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
You've probably seen these when you were in service, because they used them in Vietnam.
And I have a funny story about that.
Do tell.
Well, my buddy and I were at Tan Son Nhut, and we were walking down the flight line just rubbernecking, checking aircraft out. At the end of the flight line, between two rows of hangars, was the control tower. At the base of the control tower was an O2 Mixmaster, Cessna Skymaster thing. And guy comes out of the door at the base of the tower. This guy is dressed in a gray Air Force flight suit, cowboy hat, 6 guns, and cowboy boots. He crawls into the O2, fires up the back engine, starts taxiing out, and it's a PSYOPs bird, so he's got these speakers on the side of the aircraft, and he starts playing Lynn Anderson's I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. We thought that was the coolest thing ever.
So I've just changed aeroplanes mid-flight, and of course now I'm having to go around the whole aeroplane seeing where all the switches are.
So Apocalypse Now wasn't so off the record.
Yeah, there's a lot of PSYOP stuff going on. A lot of music was being listened to during combat assaults. We had the ADFs tuned to AFVN, and we rocked onto a lot of good tunes. AFVN, Armed Forces Vietnam. Armed Forces Radio Vietnam, AFVN.
Good morning, Vietnam.
That's the one.
Somebody had to say it.
Yep.
I just wasn't quick enough.
One of these days we'll have to have Art give us a Vietnam tour on in game.
Yeah, that'd be good.
No way. Last time I was there, people were mad at me.
Yeah.
And that was your own side.
Yeah, true.
What was that Forrest Gump quote? We kept looking for that guy named Charlie, never found him.
Yeah.
He was always in a rabbit hole, wasn't he? Believe it or not, Vietnam was after my time up there.
There was a lot of New Zealand guys flying in Vietnam.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
There were even some Brits.
Uh-huh.
Really? Didn't know that.
And the Koreans.
You said you were there in 70?
No, I went into the Army in 70, about a year's worth of flight school, and I was in Vietnam late 71 to 72. Went from November 71 to November 72.
Yeah, well, I was based in Singapore in the early 60s and spent quite a bit of my time up in Thailand. And the US had already been in there building airstrips and what have you, and the airfield that we were based at in Thailand was massive. I think they flew B-52s out of there during the Vietnam War, so they knew it was coming, eh?
Would that have been you, Dorn?
No, I was at a place called Nakhon Ratchasima, not we were at a place called Karat.
Okay.
With Nakhon Ratchasima. Used to be the old capital of Siam, right in the middle of the big blob. It was quite a strategic position. It was right in the middle of the country.
Did you ever bump the Yulbrenner?
No, I never got round to meeting him.
Yeah, right.
Idiot.
Part time, please.
Ellis, where were you based in Singapore?
Changi, when it was an
Changi.
RAF base.
Yeah, Changi. Yeah, I know Changi. Yeah.
Yeah, before they ripped it all up and made it an international airport.
Yeah, yeah. I was at Serangoon and Paspanjang.
Okay.
Penang route.
Yeah, I spent just short of a couple of years up there as a young fellow.
Yeah, I was young as well.
I was only 19 when I went up there.
I see pictures of Singapore now and I don't recognise anything.
Well, I went back 40 years later and was absolutely amazed at what they'd done to the place.
Well, do you remember places like Change Alley and the arcade and
Boogie Street?
all that lot? Oh, Boogie Street, yeah.
Oh yeah, sure do.
I was too young for Boogie Street.
I don't think you want to broadcast on something that's going out live on YouTube.
No, you don't. But I was actually there when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew got voted into power for the first time.
Yeah,
March 1963 it would have been. And he got into power, I think, on basically a socialist ticket with two other running mates. And the story goes that when he was declared the winner, he got his two running mates and locked them up in Changi jail and took over.
Are we stopping at NZRU?
Yeah.
That's the coffee break if you're lucky enough to find a cart down there.
full stop there or touch and go?
No, we're stopping here for 5.
Okay.
So Jonathan can go and make a cup of tea.
I'm going to be last in. I've switched to the Skymaster.
The reliable one.
Yes.
If you get a bit of altitude as you go right over the top of Ruapehu, you'll see the crater lake right up in the top there.
Yeah, the northern peak, I went over the top of that and saw it. So yeah, it's very good.
Hello.
Well, Ruapehu is the southern one of the 3 volcanoes. And that's the one that chucks a few rocks out now and then lately.
What airport are you coming into, Jonathan?
I'm not going to... Go on.
Hang on, I have to have a look to...
November Zulu Romeo uniform.
Yep.
Thank you.
Waiouru. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, you're pretty good, Jonathan. Well done.
Yeah, but I had to read it very carefully.
Got to drop down 4,000.
This scenery around here is amazing. We always say that on every flight though, don't we?
Yeah, I know. Every one of these are going to be like, this looks terrible. Okay. You should have the runway in sight. It's kind of flying blind without little nav map.
I see what I think is a runway, and I see you, so it's guaranteed.
Yeah, this is just the street I'm going to land on.
If you can see me, I'm on the runway.
Yep.
I'm going to turn off my stress and various damages so I can go and open the engine up flat out.
The elevation on the runway.
32,700.
There's a car on the runway.
You know how to tell if you've landed gear up?
That?
Yeah, it makes a loud screeching noise.
Yeah.
Takes a hell of a lot of power to taxi.
Can you get back up in the air without him?
Oh, there he goes. He's got his Boeing out.
There's a euphemism.
Can't help yourself, can you?
Oh, one cat is here. It's like those stuff. All over the face here. I can't see Control V anywhere.
Can I go pee now?
You got 30 seconds.
Sometimes it takes 30 minutes.
Some long stretches left. 3.
These are all the man-made radiator pine plantations that they planted. That's why you've got all those square blocks.
And crash. Yep.
I better do a good job. Everybody's watching.
No pressure.
Simulator to crash. You want it to crash when you're on the ground.
I like the Caravan. It's just a docile beast.
You just disappeared off my screen. Oh, so did everyone.
Yeah. Crashing.
So while we're on the ground, I'm going to go and
Clear of the runway.
NZRU.
Right, that's where I'm leaving you guys. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your flight.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you here.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Good night, mate.
Evening, morning, good afternoon, guys.
Hello, Lee.
How are we doing?
Okay.
Good.
We're at the halfway point. We've just stopped for the break at NZRU Wairau.
I've just departed from NZVR and I'm heading your way. John, I've just put the new transmitter, updated that, but it's only showing yellow on transmitter. Have I done anything wrong?
What do you mean it's only showing yellow?
The aircraft's not showing red on the little nav map.
That will be the tools, the simulator settings. So tools, options, online flying, is it on custom?
That's in a little nav map.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Let me just check.
Yeah, because all that really means is that little nav map's just not showing you the red aeroplanes. Are you VP CMTA?
No, that's me. I had to do a restart on my computer. Sorry
Oh,
for
okay.
that. I screwed a bunch of things.
Oh,
up
okay.
on
I can see Lee. I can see Lee on the map. Yeah, so you are transmitting, Lee. It's just you haven't got a little nav map set up. You're coming in from the southeast. So tools options in little nav map.
Tools options, got that.
Online flying.
Yep.
Is it set to custom?
Affirm.
Has it got the URL in the WhatsApp file URL?
Yep.
Okay. If you click on test next to it, does it come up saying success?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so just OK that then. In the toolbar across the top of little nav map, there's a little red aeroplane icon with an A on it.
Yep, got that.
Click on it, and then all the red aeroplanes should appear. Famous last words.
Yeah, they've all appeared, but I'm showing it as yellow still without my call sign.
Yeah, you will, because that's the simulator connection. The yellow one is you from the sim. The red one is the one from transmitter.
Right. So should I be red then, John?
You should be both. The red one should be chasing you every few seconds.
No, I've only got the yellow.
Ah, in Flight Sim, did you set your call sign?
Affirm.
Yeah, if your call sign in Flight Sim matches the one in transmitter, you will only see the yellow aeroplane. Because little nav map figures out you're both the same plane, so it only draws one of you.
Right. So what do I do for me to show red?
You can't. You can just change your call sign in transmitter, so it's different than the sim. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll just change that.
Yeah, all that's happening is little nav maps being clever and saying, "Oh, these are the same person," so I'll only draw the yellow one.
I see I'm not the only helicopter here. Crunchy Bob is with me.
Actually, I'm in a Staggerwing Beach.
That's a
Beechcraft.
That's an interesting substitution then.
Yeah, what's it did it put me as a helicopter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
it's got you in the H135.
Oh wow. Alright, Microsoft, way to go. Because, they're very similar.
Yeah.
Biplane and a helicopter.
That's great. I like that.
It could be worse. It could be a hot air balloon.
Now I'm feeling all lonely again.
Did that work for you, Lee?
Yeah, I've got a yellow and a red aeroplane.
Brilliant.
But no call sign, funny enough.
That's going to be the zoom level, maybe, or
maybe.
Or the options in. There's the Yeah, there's lots of reasons why that might not happen.
Okay.
When they come out with the update for the gliders and everything, we get thermals and whatnot. I hope somebody does do a hot air balloon, like a good one. That would be cool. I also want a gyrocopter too. I'm hoping someone's going to work on a gyrocopter.
Scenery's amazing.
It is, isn't it? This part of the world is just stunning. Right, I've just programmed the rest of the route into the GNS 530, which was painful, but done now.
Anybody tried Sky Dolly?
What's Sky Dolly?
Flight recorder.
No.
flightsim.to. It's really good.
Yeah, I use it all the time.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect.
So what does it do?
You get a pop-up. It's easy to install. You get a pop-up. You just click record, and it records your flight. You can play it back at different speeds, and just sit and watch your flight, watch your landings.
So can you change the camera after the fact then?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So if you were like trying to make...
Sim.to.
I think you've got to be in sim, don't you, for it to work?
You do, yeah. You have to be in sim, yeah.
It's basically recycling. It's using your simulator as a camera.
Right.
I got it yesterday and just briefly played around with it, and first impressions were, wow, this is cool.
You can rewind real quick and play. There is some bugs with it. If you put your gear up and stuff like that, it may not show in the recording.
Yeah, I noticed that yesterday, funny enough.
It's good for videos and stuff if you're doing video editing.
There you go, John.
Yep. Now you gotta do editing.
Oh no.
So what are you saying? You can actually save that and edit it, and
or you can record, and you could record the screen while playing with cameras. You know, having previously flown, you can replay it and then fiddle with the cameras. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
The other thing you can do is you can record your flight, and when you play it back, you can actually record your screen and edit it and what have you.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's like an instant replay.
And when you do the instant replay, if your undercarriage is up and you tell it to drop the cart, your wheels come down on the replay. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but it does work.
Sometimes. Depends on the aircraft.
Oh,
but it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Sometimes flaps and spoilers will show up on an airline, and they're not. They're up and they're not supposed to be down.
It was very easy to install as well. That was what I was impressed with.
Yeah, for about a year, and I haven't even updated it because it doesn't need it.
Ellis, we don't seem to have any big mountains to go over again now, or do we?
No, it's downhill all the way to Wellington. Well, basically, we end up on the... Oh, there goes the... I don't think an A320 could have quite... It's just gone past the we down here. It's downhill all the way to Palmerston North and then on down to Para-Umu. And then we just go up over the hill and down into Wellington. So, yeah, it's pretty low level all the way down. Yeah. And we'll head out over to the west coast, go down over what we call the Kapiti coast, and then over a range of hills and down into the Wellington harbour and into Wellington. That's if I get there, because I've lost all power. I don't know, nothing seems to be working.
Then I suggest we all have a beer.
Yep. He's got to pay for our fuel that we're wasting.
PC-12 on the runway. Do you mind if I go in front of you?
You mean Jim?
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
Test question, Jonathan.
Sorry?
A test question for you. For the 737-700, can you set the IRS in motion?
That's a good question. I don't think you can. Although, it depends how realistic it is, doesn't it? I bet if you power it up, if you've got it set to instant align, I bet it will work.
It's possible. Just a question whether doing it 240 knots.
It shouldn't, should it?
No.
Jonathan, I've lost all the electrical power. Is there any way of restarting and
Control E.
Control E.
Yeah, you've got the stock aeroplane, haven't you, from Asobo? Control E will start any stock aeroplane.
I think it's let the batteries die, Jonathan.
Yeah. But Control E should resurrect it.
Well, if he does a Y and gets airborne, sometimes that'll start things off.
Oh, that's a good point actually, because it starts the engine, doesn't it, when you come out of slew?
It does, yeah.
Jim, you in a helicopter?
Yes, I am.
Ooh, get you.
Flying, what aircraft?
Starkey.
Sorry guys, that didn't work either.
The easiest way then would be, have you got dev mode switched on or not? Or just load back in at this. Just load back in at this airfield. If you nip out to the main menu and come straight back in, that'll sort it out for you.
I'll do that.
I'm flying the Red Bull Cessna 337 because it's got wings.
Oh,
Goodbye, Red Bull. Group flights brought to you by Red Bull, because we have wings.
I'm chasing you.
Now, if I get a copyright strike now because you guys...
Oh, dang it, sorry. Can you bleep that out?
No, I'm sure they wouldn't capture just people talking about something, would they?
Unless you're really good at singing.
Famous last words.
Are you streaming this, John?
No, I'm recording it though, so it'll go online later. Just to show people what group flights are all about, really.
Yeah, good idea.
Complete nonsense.
But I think the really good thing about this is when we got like one of these flights with like Ellis doing this one, where he's got local knowledge and can, you know, tell interesting stories along the way. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, the tour. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Ellis, you live in a beautiful country, mate.
Pretty good. Very diverse. You know, we've got the two main islands and they're virtually two different countries. They really are.
Is that you, Joe, in the Airbus?
No.
I don't feel
It went right through me.
737. It's been you one. Don't think I'll stop by the time.
One careful owner.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I had to land to sort my Fleming inertial navigation system out. Can you believe it? There. Great. So.
Yeah, I think in the realism options in the FMC, you can tell it how long it will take to do the alignment of the IRS.
Yeah.
And you can have it do it instantly.
Yeah. Enter IRS. So the second play with it really.
Yeah, because you don't get the primary flight display or anything, do you, without the IRS system?
No.
So you've really just been flying it completely blind, really?
No, just been flying it on the second wheel.
Oh, okay.
But you do get the airspeed, so fine. You just don't get the artificial horizon.
Thankfully, it's a nice clear day.
Okay, I'm back and powered up and sitting on the end of the runway, so I'll get in the air.
Cool. Right, I'm going to set off to the next waypoint then. So 53 miles, 160 degrees. Heading mode on the autopilot, altitude hold mode on, and get it trimmed out.
I'll be right back. I'll catch up.
Cool. So what VOR stations have we got? Oh, we can fly into Palmerston North then on the VOR. 11340. What's the range on it? Show information, Palmerston North. 190 miles.
Getting a bit frustrated now. Just trying to find the inertial navigation, etc. So it looks like all you have to do is land, Jonathan.
Right.
Hit the initial reference.
Oh, of course, yes, you have to give it a start point, don't you?
Yeah.
Tell it where in the world it is at a standstill.
Well, my first introduction to inertial navigation was way back in 1966. And it was all top secret stuff back then.
I was going to say, because the Apollo guidance computer was one of the first bits of hardware to have it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and that was about 67 when they did Apollo 8, was it? That went around the moon and they tried it out for the first time in flight?
Yeah, well, the P3 Orions, you know, the anti-sub Lockheeds.
Yeah.
They all had inertial navigation.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a fascinating documentary about the development of Apollo, and that they made one that was like briefcase sized, wasn't it? That went on the lunar lander, and they weren't sure if it was going to work.
I worked for the Bureau of Land Management in Alaska on contract back in 78 and 79. And we had 13 tent camps, 3 helicopters each. And the main helicopter, an Aerospatiale Gazelle, had an inertial navigation system. And they would go out, they'd mark positions, and then we'd fly corner setters in with Hughes 500s, and they'd stamp the the caps and stuff like that. And so they were surveying all of Alaska to give the partake in the Natives Land Settlement Act, where they're going to deed property to the natives and stuff. And so to do it, they had to have an inertial nav system in a helicopter.
That's amazing.
So what is that to us non-pilots? What is that? What is this system?
The inertial navigation, basically it's like, and you got it in your cell phone, it's several accelerometers and measures distance, azimuth, and measures acceleration in different directions. And when you get when you get started, you go to where you can do a zero velocity update, and it programs. You go to a known position to program it. You tell it where it is, and then you take off. And of course, over time, you get less and less accuracy. So eventually, you have to do what we had to do: a zero velocity update about every 3 or 4 minutes. The helicopter that had the INS would fly 165 knots for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then he'd have to slow down, hover, land, touch a skid to do a zero velocity update, and they had to do that to keep the accuracy within I don't know, 3 feet or so to put the monument caps down.
Basically, an inertial navigation system plotted your position without the use of any outside beacons or reference points or anything like that, eh? It was all totally internal.
All the modern airplanes, and like you say, your phone does it. Your phone doesn't use your GPS location all the time. It checks every so many seconds, but the in-between locations are done by the inertial navigation, the accelerometers.
Is it using towers to triangulate yourself?
You can do that as well, yeah. Phones use every trick in the book.
Right. Just to save power.
Yes, well, no, you can turn the GPS off and you can still get your location. And they'll use
cell towers.
Yeah, well, no, not just that. They'll use nearby Wi-Fi networks as well.
Yeah.
Because Google got in trouble for it in Europe because of the data laws. They were driving around while they were mapping the streets, and they were capturing the internal addresses of all the network cards, of all the wireless hardware they could see.
Wow.
So I forgot the MAC addresses. Yeah. So they were building a database, a geo database of all the MAC addresses of the Wi-Fi hardware.
And half the people didn't have passwords on their Wi-Fi in the early 2000s either, so you could just log right in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I guess all they wanted was, we know you're in this vicinity.
Right.
But yeah, cell phones are tremendously clever. One of my friends lives across the way, is a mobile phone engineer, mast engineer, and he was saying that the magic that goes on in the modern handsets about tuning multiple radio frequencies simultaneously is just nuts. With like where you're holding a call and going between different towers, for example.
All that, yeah, the transfer.
Yeah, not just that, but it can do it between different frequencies even and different bandwidths. It's nuts.
You'll never guess who the inventor of frequency shifting was.
No idea.
Frequency shift key.
It was Hedy Lamarr.
Yeah, the actress. Yep.
Yes. They were trying to devise a torpedo that couldn't be jammed, and so she came up with the whole frequency shifting concept.
And she's kind of considered the forerunner of Bluetooth as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There was a program on about that last year in the UK. It was fascinating.
She was not just another pretty face.
Yeah, I can't hear her name though without thinking of Blazing Saddles.
Of course.
Headley.
Another one that always makes me laugh is Alan Turing, who obviously became famous for developing the first computer hardware, or one of the team then that did that. Alongside it, they had a signal processing problem. He effectively invented as a bit of a lunchtime project, the fault fixing in any kind of signaling system. So packet switching uses it. Every form of transmission uses it, where it does automatic fault detection and resending of packets. It was a bit of a lunchtime project because they had a problem, with signaling.
Crazy. Just like JavaScript was coded in one day, and now it's everywhere.
Oh, it's nuts, yeah.
Back in the 1930s, the golden age of aviation, names are slipping my right now, but there's this one set, the Howard brothers. They made the DGA aircraft for air racing and all. They would start out a design of an aircraft by clearing out the hangar and drawing the design concept on the hangar floor in chalk.
Well, that's how they developed side-mounted radar one weekend.
It's like the 13-year-old girl that sorted out the Spitfire cannons.
Yes, I heard that story. That's fascinating, isn't it?
I have not heard that.
Well, she worked all the mathematics out to be able to put 4 cannons on the distances that were required to be behind the enemy in order to be able to shoot them down.
Wow.
So her dad was one of the engineers at Supermarine, I guess, and he took his work home with him. Yeah, and he sat at the dinner table with his daughter to help him do the maths, and she worked out all the permutations to figure out the optimal number of machine guns and the lead angles for them.
And she drew graphs to prove it.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And yet none of them could get the flashing 12 off of their VCRs.
Oh, you've got to be a certain age to understand that one as well, haven't you?
Yeah. That's brilliant. What was that?
You get like 3 aircraft on your tail.
Oh my word. Formation. I hate to tell you this, but I'm on autopilot, just following the VOR.
That makes the flying easy.
It does.
The cheat button.
Mind you, we have to go and have a look, don't we? Where's the wind? 15 knots from the southeast, so we're runway 07.
Runway 25. 25.
Really?
Look, Jonathan.
I'm just having a look at the... On the ground, wind is 100 degrees, 10 knots, so that's runway 07.
Will do then.
Yeah, that's what it's recommended on little nav map as well. Prefers 0707, right?
I'm just going to drop out of the sky.
Yeah, Jim doesn't have to worry about this, of course.
Is this Palmerston North we're talking about?
Yes.
Again, it's a fairly sizable. Yeah, I think it's ranked as a city, but it's basically a service town to a large rural area. It's the site of one of our major agricultural universities.
I don't know what all those white bits are below me, but if they're golf courses, I've never seen so many in my life.
Nah, it's sheep.
The river we're flying over is called the Rangituki, and it's quite a long river. It's very down at ground level. There's some fascinating views down this river because of the way it's carved its way through the landscape.
Yeah, I'm almost caught up again too. I had to do a complete restart. I'll see you guys ahead.
See you soon.
Yeah.
So Ellis, which is more populated, North or South Island or is it an even split?
It's probably more like, I would say 3/4 to a quarter. I'd say 3/4 of the country's population lives in the North Island.
Is there any snobbery between the north and the south?
They hate our guts.
Who do?
The South Island. They threaten to cut the power cable all the time.
Why?
Because they just, I think it's a inferiority complex thing.
So what's the...
Because being in the south, they're at the bottom.
Well, I think they like to think they're better than everything there is up north. And I can always remember when I first went into the Air Force and they dumped 100 of us guys on our course, and all the guys in the South Island, from the South Island, all they could ever do was tell us how good everything in the South Island was and how bad everything was in the North Island. The only thing was, none of them had ever been up there to find out. So we shut them up by saying, now look guys, don't you realise that nothing exists south of the Bombay Hills? There's a range of hills that sort of forms the border to the south of Auckland, and when you consider that about 1/3 of New Zealand's total population lives there, there's got to be something pretty good about it. So that shut them up.
It's a bit like London and Yorkshire, really, isn't it?
It probably is, yes, yeah. A friendly rivalry, they call it.
Sounds like it.
So,
threatening to cut off your pipeline.
So Ellis, what's this big deal about number 8 wire?
Well, okay. Basically, the number 8 wire concept is the fact that New Zealanders over the years, particularly the males, can fix anything with a piece of number 8 fencing wire.
I think it's fantastic.
And to be quite honest, when I was away in the services overseas, we were renowned for it. Even our good friends from the US, like we were the envy of everybody up in Thailand because we had a pressure hot water system and hot showers and that. Why? Because the number 8 fencing wire mentality came out, and we built our whole system. Got their drip burners and welded them into the top of a 44-gallon drum and hoiked the tank up on a stand, and the next minute we had a hot water pressure shower. It was a foreign thing there, but that's what I mean. That's the number 8 fencing mentality.
I think it's brilliant.
It's never a problem. There's always a solution, you know. Any problem's an opportunity.
Jonathan, you're a right stirrer, you are.
No, I think it's brilliant. I saw it on that. I watched a documentary with Griff Rhys-Jones where he went the length of New Zealand, and he went off several places trying to buy some number 8 wire. And I thought it was a fascinating story.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it?
But it's not just the wire, like Ellis said. It's a mentality that, you know, when you've only got bare materials to work with, you're going to find a way of doing something.
That's about it, actually, yeah.
Yeah, this is what happened when I lived in a cardboard box.
Oh,
you were lucky you had a cardboard box. Did it have a lid?
Well, I'm pleased I can do a Chandella and a 737.
Oh.
What did the passengers say?
Went very quiet.
More sick bags required.
Oh, I think so.
Right, we're getting close, aren't we, to Palmerston? So we're about 10 miles out. The lead group are about 8 miles out. Probably less. Okay, back to heading mode then.
I'm at the rear of the pack and I'm 8 miles out.
Start descending.
I'm lying. K-Manta is behind me.
Just a bit behind. I'm almost caught up. Trying hard.
Just checking the information on the airfield. Elevation 134 feet above sea level.
Switch runway.
Yeah, I've got visuals on the airfield. There's a 737 flying past at about 2,000 feet.
See that? Funny. And going so slow.
Yeah, I'm doing 3 miles a minute.
And there's a caravan going past beneath the 737.
Pacing up away like a sparrow.
The Cessna 337, so cool.
It is, especially once you read the little label that's stuck in the cockpit that says you can basically drop the wheels at any speed you like.
Yeah.
So they're like the best air brake going.
It's really well modelled. Basically.
It is.
Is that the Mixmaster?
Skymaster.
Yeah, 337 Skymaster.
You have the model, I can see Jonathan's wheels actually go down. That's pretty neat.
There's something you should know about the 337. If you have an engine failure on takeoff, do not retract the landing gear because it increases the drag and it'll pull you into the ground.
Wow.
Interesting, I want to try that.
The landing gear extends downward before it retracts upward, and so the landing gear extension produces a tremendous amount of drag. So unlike other aircraft, if you have an engine failure, you're not supposed to retract the landing gear. If you have an engine failure of the front engine, it behaves like a Cessna 182 performance-wise. And if you have an engine failure of the rear engine, then it's a Cessna 172 performance-wise.
So is there a difference between Mixmaster and Skymaster? Because I grew up with it, always knowing it as a Mixmaster.
They're the same thing.
Coming through, chaps.
Are we stopping here?
No, it's a touch and go.
I'm here for the night. It's dinner time over here, so I'm gonna see you guys.
Cool. See you soon.
Steve.
Yep. See you. Have fun, guys.
Good night. Thanks for good afternoon, evening. Thanks for coming.
Where are we going now?
196 degrees to Paraparaumu.
Umu.
Sorry. Paraparaumu.
I keep getting these intermittent black screens of death.
And then it comes back again.
It does, yes.
It's the HDMI cable. I used to have that.
Really?
It turns out HDMI cables are not all equal. Yeah, I had that for ages. And it would usually be when I was like on approach or something, and it would go dark for a couple of seconds. And yeah, it turned out to be the HDMI cable.
My goodness, I think I'll check and reseat those.
It wasn't just the reseating it; it was actually the cables themselves are made to different standards.
Really? Okay.
I think part of it with me is I upgraded to a 4K monitor. And some HDMI cables didn't work at all with it. Others were patchy, and I actually went and spent some money and bought spent more than the minimum amount on an HDMI, and it worked.
Well,
what a gold one, John.
No, it's not a gold one, but it's better than the cheapest you can get.
My problem is I'm running in VR so I'd have to change out the VR cable.
Yeah, it would just be is it in your VR headset it's going dark?
Correct, yes.
So yeah, it could be that cable, just maybe it needs reseating then.
I'll give that my best shot later. Things get dark, I just close my eyes and hold my breath and wait until they come back.
That's what I used to do. So there's a DME at Paraparaumu. But it's probably just easy to follow the coast now, isn't it?
Oh, look at that. There's an ocean out there.
Yeah.
You're looking at the Tasman Sea out there.
Really?
Yep. That's a stretch of water between us and our mates over in Aussie.
So I'm going to go towards the coast and follow the coast down, I think.
I have an acquaintance that just moved to, is it Tasmania? Retiring there?
Yeah. It's a nice part of the world. Bit cold down there though. It's about the same latitude as our South Island, so it can get hot in the summertime. But in the winter time it gets pretty cool.
I think I'm going to have to switch fuel tanks. Bad things happen when I try to do this.
So this river I'm following out to the coast is the Manawatu River, is that correct?
That'd be right. Manawatu, yeah, that'd be right. That's the area that we're in now, yeah.
It's interesting that how you have the stresses on certain sounds. I remember you saying the other week that the indigenous people get really funny about that.
Yeah, they do. They do. Keep telling us we pronounce their words wrong. Yeah. When they try to tell us we're not spelling it right, that's when it becomes a joke. because they never had a written language.
Yeah, because I got a friend in Hawaii, and I always struggle reading some of their words because it's the same. I guess it's the same root, isn't it? It's all Polynesian originally.
It is, yes.
But they have lots of in our alphabet. They have lots of double vowels. Can I see a 737 at treetop height down there?
Not necessarily.
Wonder who that is.
Oh dear.
He is as well. He's just above the treetops.
It's like a what? 150 feet, 160 feet.
Just testing the terrain.
I didn't know it had terrain following radar.
Well, that was the development program I was involved with. But cut out the bag now.
They actually trained for that with B-52s, didn't they? Doing treetop flying.
Are you sure it wasn't the B-42?
No, the B-52s, they tested it with low level because they were getting shot up so badly, or getting locked onto and having to... that's part of the reason the B-1 happened as well.
I recommend a very good film if you can get hold of it. It's called Shady Lady. And it's about the longest ever bombing run carried out by the US Air Force from Australia. And it's narrated, it's a factual drama.
Yeah.
But it's narrated by Michael Dorn, whose Trekkies will know as War.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant film.
Oh, cool, I'll have to write that one down.
Because when you see them going through all the mechanics of the flying, they're doing it right. It's real.
Something I saw recently on YouTube, you know C.W. Lemoyne, or Mover, the ex-F-16, F-18 pilot who has a YouTube channel. He has this series on his channel called Mover Ruins Movies, and he and one of his ex-buddies from the one of the carriers, I forget which carrier they were on together, watched Flight of the Intruder together. And usually they sit through one of these movies and pick holes in it. And they got about 2/3 of the way through, and they actually paused it and turned around and said, "We haven't found anything wrong yet." You know, the uniforms were right, the look of the staterooms on the carrier were right, the briefing rooms were right, the language is correct, everything they're doing in the cockpits is right.
If you want to see something really interesting, watch the Tom Cruise flight with
James Corden.
Oh God. James Corden.
Yeah, I know. It's good, isn't it?
Hilarious. That is brilliant.
That was done on his Honda Jet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Fabulous.
Did you see there was a show years ago where Jeremy Clarkson went up in an F-15?
No.
That was good. Because he played it straight for a change. He didn't mess about. And when they put the G-suit on him and tested him with the oxygen, you know, the helmet on and everything, he had a panic attack. And they actually had to stop filming for a while he recomposed himself. But yeah, they went in the F-15 and went, I think he threw up 3 or 4 times, but I think it was Lakenheath or somewhere they took him to. And yeah, they did a combat takeoff, whatever they call it, vertical, and they went straight to 17,000 feet in the space of like 30 seconds. It was absolutely mad.
He's not a very good farmer either, is he?
Hey, I really enjoyed that series. We just finished watching it. It was great.
The thing I liked about that show with the farm is that they told it how it was, and okay, he was probably playing up a bit with the disasters, you know, to make it more fun. But he wasn't too ashamed to make a fool of himself, if that makes sense.
He never has been.
But, you know, to admit he didn't know. But that was kind of what made it fun, wasn't it? With the guy that worked... Was it Jacob, the kid that worked on the farm?
Yeah, yeah.
Where he was complaining about his ploughing, saying that anyone that drove down the road would see the lines and think that he'd done it. You'd be the laughing stock of all the farmers in the area.
Well, I've successfully managed to switch fuel tanks with only killing the engine once, but in the process I've gotten lost and I don't see nobody.
We can find you on the map, hopefully.
Well, I'm between the coast, the mountains, coming up on a lake.
So what was your call sign?
November 412 Sierra Bravo.
Okay, I'm looking. You were running.
There's a town.
What's your tag?
Say again?
What is your tag?
My tag. I don't know. Art.
Are you not, you're not on Little Nav map, are you?
No, I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, I can't see you then.
Oh, that's why we can't see you on the map, because you're not running. You're not running transmitter, are you?
Oh, I am running transmitter.
Ah, so what's your call sign on transmitter?
I put my name down as Art, and my call sign. That's my call sign, and my in number is 412 Sierra Bravo. This cute little town has a house with a green roof on it, a racetrack, and there's a lake.
Ah, got you. You're showing up as N178KT.
Oh, I changed it. That worked. That's an airplane I'm buying.
Okay, we've got you. So if you're about 3 miles to the north of everybody else. But if you carry on to the coast, you can follow it in, because a couple of us have already made it to the coast.
Okay.
And the airport is actually virtually out on the coast.
Yeah.
Is that November 178 KT?
Yeah, Kilo Tango.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've got you on Little Nav map.
Yeah, you're in between the groups, it's fine.
Down to the coast and just follow it in.
Can do.
Or dial in frequency 117.30. That's DME.
Okay, Vortac.
You're looking for November Zulu Papa Papa.
Okay.
Ellis, anything special about Capti Island?
Yes. Yeah, there was a Maori chief that went out there and hid for a long while, I believe, because everybody wanted his head.
Literally?
Literally, we're talking, back in the early 1800s, late 1700s. Yeah, they ran him out of town. I'm trying to think of his name, but one of the big things about Maoridom, and it still goes on today, is they're very tribal, and they've never ever got on with each other. So as my brother used to tell me, who's had a lot to do with them, we'll never have a problem with the Maoris because they can never agree within themselves. And they're all, when the Europeans first came to New Zealand, they were all running around trying to annihilate each other.
Does the same apply to the Aborigines in Australia?
I do not know, can't comment. I do not know. I think they might have been a little bit more of a peaceful race, more so than the Maoris. Well, they used to scrap like hell. They still do, verbally, that is. They just can't get on.
Well, I can tell you it's exactly the same between the different tribes in Kenya.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. Socially, they're in their development. It's said they're half a century behind the Europeans. They are. And that's not being disrespectful. That's the reality of it.
This is interesting. I'm flying along over the sea, and I can see all of you guys going along the side of the mountains. And I can see your lights twinkling on and off, and the sun hitting you now and again. And it makes sense suddenly. Have you ever heard the story about Kenneth Arnold and I think it was the first famous UFO report, where he reported the you know, so he didn't know what he was seeing, but he saw a number of things flying past in the distance that he couldn't explain. And this is exactly that sort of thing. So you could understand how a report would be made of something that's absolutely explainable, but from this distance it looks like just twinkling lights in the distance. In a chain, one behind the other.
What time of day are you on?
It's mid-morning now for me, but the sun, I guess the sun caught you all for a few seconds and lit you all up. But you can see where these UFO stories come from, can't you? All you would need is a flight of military planes to go past, one behind the other, and it would look like just, you know, twinkling lights in the distance zooming past.
I'm sorry, Jonathan, you're wrong. They're gods. Eric von Daniken knows what happened.
Hey guys, if you look straight ahead out to the southwest, the land mass you can see over there is the top of the South Island. All right.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
Okay.
And the gap between the two is the infamous Cook Strait.
Tides coming in from both directions.
I saw a
Creates
documentary.
mayhem.
I saw a documentary about an airline that flew between the North and the South Islands. Was that in like Buffalo Brewsters or something like that?
I can't say I know.
Twin-engine cargo planes, and they were quite the deal in the '60s and stuff.
Oh, the old B-170 Bristol freighters. They used.
Yeah.
There was a company called Straits Air Freight, and it operated between Paraparoo, this airfield here, and down at Blenheim, in the top of the Wairau Valley there in South Island, where they grow all our Sauvignon Blanc grapes that we make that wonderful Sauvignon Blanc wine out of. It's all growing in the top of the South Island there.
I'll drink to that.
That's
Tastes like
impressive.
nothing else on earth, eh? You line up a dozen Sauvignon Blancs from around the world, and I'll pick the one that comes from Marlborough. It's a piece of cake.
Interesting. Wonder if I can get
5:05
some
in
of
the
that stuff in the
afternoon
grocery store.
They sell a lot of it to America. You should be able to find some.
I'll give it my best shot.
Stoneleigh, Wither Hills are two notable ones. Oyster Bay.
We get a lot of Oyster Bay over here, don't we?
Yeah, it's not a bad drop.
So I'm coming up on this point, and I see an airport down there. Is that where we're going to land?
Touch and go, I think.
Okay.
November Zulu Papa Papa. Yeah, that's open.
Runway 16 here, favoured guys.
Gotcha.
Nice big Microsoft tree right on the approach as usual.
Brilliant.
£5:30 in the afternoon is a good time, guys.
Let's see about changing the time. Oh yeah, that looks cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Quite a heavily populated area, this coast down here. They all consider themselves Wellingtonians from here.
So this is the destination airport for that straight airline?
Yeah, that's where it they used to operate out of here, and also out of Wellington, I think, in the latter years. Then after the Bristol freighters, they went to 8 version of the old Vickers Viscount.
That was a nice airplane, 4 engines, right? Really long engines.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they used to use those for passenger airline in the Caribbean. A lot of work with Vickers when it comes.
Oh, we're getting a fair amount of turbulence over the houses.
We'll get a bit of turbulence when I go past. Quick separation, 4 miles, I think.
I was going to say, Flight Sim doesn't do wake vortices or anything, does it?
No.
DCS does. It's a bugger in dogfights.
One thing this part of the country is known for is its wind. Windy Wellington, they call it.
Yeah, I think the Meteor says, what, 21 knots right now here.
Tell you what, when it blows here, it really blows. You can see a lot of, I don't know whether you guys have got it in your sim, but it looks like a lot of road works down there. And they've just done a big upgrade on all the freeways through here and built a new road to access into Wellington through the hills. It's called Transmission Gully, and it's taken them years to get it finished. There are a lot of major obstacles in getting it done. Yeah, the road into Wellington used to follow the coast all the way down here, but in what I've got here, you can actually see where the new road goes up through the gully there.
Yeah, see, that's how it looks from my view as well. But I don't think I have the New Zealand mesh, so yours is probably more precise.
Yeah. You can identify the gully, but they've built a dirty great big highway through there. It's cut the time down into Wellington significantly.
Getting blinded by the reflection of the sun.
It's like a lot of things. They've formed a committee and to investigate the feasibility of this road. And like all committees, it's the fastest way to achieve nothing. And that's why it took so long. Nobody on the committee could agree on anything.
Apart from having another meeting.
Isn't that the dictionary definition of a committee? A group of people who take minutes and waste hours or something worse to that effect?
That's about it, isn't it? I've always said right through my working life, the fastest way to achieve nothing is to form a committee.
Well, it's funny because you think committee means committing to something.
Oh, that's probably a lot of me, right? You would think.
Well, John, I'm at 80 feet above the water. Quite good. Quite stable.
I tell you, the wind is whipping along. I'm down low on all of these little hills and so on, and it really does knock you around.
So I've got the time at 20 to 6 on my clock in the plane, and it looks quite forbidding with the clouds around the harbour down here. And
that's what I've got.
I tell you what, if you want to see some real interesting landings and takeoffs, search rough weather Wellington on YouTube and go and have a look at the landings and that there. They're quite spectacular, some of them. They quite often have to abort and go somewhere else when it blows here.
did any of you guys see, we had a torrential storm happened here about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and the TV crews went and filmed at Gatwick and Heathrow, the planes coming in. I think it was Gatwick, wasn't it? Was the main one?
Heathrow, wasn't it?
No, it was Heathrow.
Oh, was it Heathrow?
Big Jet.
Yeah,
Big
and
Jet
there's a
TV.
name for it. That's it, Big Jet TV. It was fabulous.
The guy normally gets a few hundred hits, and suddenly he had some
Quarter of a million.
thousands.
240,000, I think.
But yeah, the flight crews were earning their money that day.
That'll be Jerry Dyer, Big Jet TV.
Yeah, it
Doesn't
was
that-
great.
Doesn't that third time go around thing put more pressure on him to land them?
I don't know.
I think they're not allowed to go around more than 3 times, yeah? So
3 times
that
enough.
puts a lot of pressure on the last one.
Won't have enough fuel.
Yeah,
There's been a few fly on the wall things with the aircraft carriers, where obviously if they've got bad weather and there's no other option, it gets a bit itchy. You know, if you're doing go-arounds. There was one of them I saw that basically they were filming the crew, or sorry, the rest of the flight's reactions that had already landed, and they were watching on the monitors from the land or the LSOs of the planes approaching, and basically they were cheering when their friends landed. You know, with relief, not, you know, laughing cheering. It was absolute relief that they'd got down safely.
Well, gentlemen, I got to quit for dinner. It's been fun flying with you this evening.
Cool.
Thank you for joining.
See you next
Enjoy
week.
your
Thank
dinner.
you.
Good night.
Take care.
Enjoy
Join
your
us,
dinner.
Thanks for joining in.
join us on Sunday.
Yes.
I'll put it on my calendar.
I'm just trying to think where we're going on Sunday. Events. Puerto Rico.
I have happy memories of Puerto Rico.
This big valley down here to our left, populated, is known as the Hutt Valley, and it's basically the main suburban area of Wellington.
Wellington is where Weta is based, isn't it?
That's right, Jonathan. Yep. Up in the Hutt Valley, I believe it is.
Who is Weta?
The special effects company that Peter Jackson put together to make Lord of the Rings.
Right.
They now work, obviously they work on all kinds of movies now, but I think they were sold, weren't they, a few years ago, to one of the big studios. It might be Lucasfilm owns them now. Or not, sorry, Lucasfilm. Who is it that owns Lucasfilm? Disney.
No, Walt Disney.
Okay, I have visuals on Wellington airfield. So I'm going to fly around past the city to have a look at it on the way in.
It's down there to the
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Once, it's a cool little place, actually. Wellington as a city is very, very compact, and it's quite cool. The actual downtown city area itself. That's suburbs spread out all in amongst the hills all around the place.
Localizer established.
I want to know how many feet he missed that building by.
I think we've measured in centimetres.
Oh no, all the boats in the harbour have sunk. Right then, time to lose some airspeed.
Okay, I'm going to watch everybody come in and give you points out of 10.
Thanks.
Thanks for that, Jim. No pressure.
I'm next down, Jim.
I'm watching. Oh, that's a 10 out of 10, Ellis.
Thank you.
That sets the bar.
Maybe I should fly the circuit and watch everybody going in from the air for the video.
That's why I fly the same plane all the time. I want to keep my scorecard good.
Yeah, I'm going to fly around in a circle and watch.
Is there no Poppy here? Doesn't look like it.
Okay, a little bit bumpy. Bumpsy daisy, K-Manta.
Yeah, that was a lump. I had in my screen looked like a jet that was just right there below me.
Oh, who's that? Bumpsy daisy. Oh, Seren went.
Who's next in, Jim? He's got a name tag.
I can't, it's a bit difficult. I can't see enough of the
Here
names.
comes Joe.
Oh, it's Challenger. Yeah, here we go. So he hadn't got any wheels down.
He's in trouble, isn't he? Oh yeah, they suddenly appeared.
Yeah, he missed the dots.
Landing though.
Crunchy Bob's just done a good one. Oh, no, a bit of a bounce at the end there.
I got a man coming past in a
A55.
T6.
Oh, whoa. Here comes Lee. Yeah, nice one. Valstom coming in now, followed by John. Oh, I think John's stealing the thunder from Valstom here, jumping ahead.
Bet he doesn't bounce as high as I can.
No, that was nice, John. That's a 10
that
out
was
of
nice,
10 as
John.
well.
Yeah, that was cool.
2 10 out of 10s.
Here comes tail in, Charlie.
Yeah, coming in low and slow. Nice and steady. This should be good. Don't worry about everybody watching you.
Much.
Oh, bouncy, bouncy.
That
Seconds
just
on
flared
lock.
too early.
Okay, folks, I'm out of here. I'll catch
Yep.
you on Sunday. Ellis, thanks very much. Great flight.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Yeah, that was
Good night.
very good.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers, Jim. Drinks
Yeah,
yeah,
some fun. Cheerio. Bye. Thank you.
Right, I'm out as well, guys. Thank you so much, Ellis. That was brilliant. And see you guys when I do.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I might
See
as
you
well.
later.
See you
Thank
later.
very much.
Yeah,
Fun
cheers,
flight.
everyone. Have a good week. See you Sunday.
Yeah, thanks
for
for the
coming,
flight.
everybody. Bye.
Excellent.
Thanks very much, Alice. Good night to you.
Right. Power everything down.
Right, for you, Lost, I've got to get rid of 141 passengers.
Ah, brilliant. Oh,
Right, gentlemen, thank you very much. See you Sunday. Good night.
see you soon.
Yeah, see you later. Yeah.
Sunday night. Bye bye.
See you soon,
I'm over
Bert.
here as well. But first decent fly I've had with the 737 hand flying lifted. It's really good.
It is. It's very easy to fly, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Anyway.
It's predictable, I think the word is.
Well, yes, that's probably totally unreal. Okay, catch you guys later.
Yep, see you soon.
For now. Bye.